Have you decided to buy your home without a realtor? Well, check out these common mistakes to avoid so you can keep your money in your own pocket. Hi, I'm Connie. I'm the owner of Buy Without Realtor, and I'm here to guide you with the knowledge and the tools to confidently buy your home on your own. I know that buying a home is, and it can be, very scary, but I just want you to know that I am here to empower you with the knowledge and the tools to help you through the entire process. So today I want to talk about some common mistakes that you can avoid so that you can feel confident about buying your own home. We'll cover mistakes related to mortgages, searching for a home, property inspection, and legal documentation. By the end of this, you should be able to navigate the process without the use of a realtor. Mistake number 1 is not getting pre-approved for a mortgage. I tell you, that is the most important thing that you can do, is to contact a mortgage broker, get pre-approved, talk about your credit situation and your budget. There's no need in going out and trying to buy a home if you don't even know how much you can afford and how much you qualify for. So that's mistake number 1, is not contacting a mortgage broker or loan officer first to get pre-approved. Mistake number 2 is not researching the market. It is so important as you are buying a home on your own to take a look at the real estate market and really study how much homes that you're qualified for, how much they're actually selling for, and also how much they sold for. If you're interested in a video on how to go about doing that and where to look, just let me know in the comments and I will produce a video to take you through the steps on how to do it. Mistake number 3 is not having a home inspection done on the home that you finally decide to buy. I gotta tell you, having that home inspection, it truly will save you thousands of dollars. The amount of money that you have to pay to get a home inspected is well worth it. Trust me. That home inspector is going to be able to find potential problems you may have with the home down the line. So why not find those problems up front and deal with them right away? So not having one done is a huge mistake. So definitely get a home inspection done. Mistake number 4 is not understanding the legal documentation. And by legal documentation, I'm talking about the purchase and sale agreement, and then of course any addendums that go along with the purchase and sale agreement, your mortgage documents, the applications, things that pertain to the real estate transaction. I would highly recommend either hiring a real estate attorney or even a paralegal to maybe take a look at the documents like the purchase and sale before you actually sign on the dotted line. You've got to understand what it is you're signing, and if you don't understand, you gotta ask questions. And if you don't know the right questions to ask, that's why I'm here. Mistake number 5, being afraid to negotiate. This is my all-time favorite subject, even though it is a big mistake if you are afraid to do it. In real estate, I know they always say the first one that names price loses. However, in your situation, if you are afraid to negotiate, and understand your negotiation has to come from a place of understanding and knowledge. So you've got to know how much people are paying for homes in order to be able to offer a good price. So you cannot be afraid to negotiate. Again, I am probably going to do a video on negotiations just so that you can feel comfortable and confident. Mistake number 6 is not understanding your closing cost. Your mortgage broker should take the time with you to explain what your closing costs are. And these are the costs that you actually have to pay, or that's a part of your loan. You've got to come out of your pocket, Or it could be negotiated that the seller pay your closing costs. But you've got to ask the question of what those costs are and what they mean so that you totally understand what all is going into your transaction. And your mortgage person is the best person to explain that to you. Mistake number 7, and it's the final mistake, not getting everything in writing. It is so important as you're going through this process by yourself to get everything in writing. You cannot afford any mistakes. Everything you do has to be written, not verbal. So make sure as you're going through this entire process that everything is in writing, from negotiating with the seller to even negotiating with your mortgage broker. Get it all in writing. So now that we have gone through all of these mistakes, what are your biggest fears about buying a home without a realtor? Let me know in the comments. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And also, as long as you're prepared and you understand what these mistakes are, you should have no problem at all buying your home on your own.
Today, I am going to take you through a very condensed step-by-step process of how you can buy your own home without using a realtor. Whether or not you want to just save on the fee that you may have to pay a realtor in order for them to help you buy a house, or you just want to take control of the process. This video is for you. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is the financial piece. And that's where you need to find a mortgage person to either pre-qualify you or pre-approve you so that you can go out and start looking for the home. When you get pre-approved, that mortgage person or banker, they'll be able to let you know about your credit situation and whether or not you have anything that you need to clean up or any bills that you need to pay off. That's step 1. Step 2, after you go through that whole process, all you have to do now, and this is where the fun comes in, is that you get to go out and you find your own home. Now, granted, you're going to be doing it without a realtor, and so you're going to have to do a lot of the legwork, and you're going to have to go on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, and you're going to need to look for a home based on what your mortgage broker has pre-approved you for. And please understand, don't go crazy and try and find a house for $400,000 and the mortgage broker only approved you for $350,000. So stay within your budget as you're looking in various neighborhoods and online and going to open houses. Also, before you start doing your search, why don't you put together a list of things that you want your house to look like? How many bedrooms? How many baths? What neighborhood? Do you want a yard? Do you want a condo? Do you want a townhome? Make that list before you even turn on your computer to start looking at homes. That way you can narrow your focus down. Step 3, once you find houses that you really like, it's time to schedule the viewing. And you will be responsible for contacting either the for sale by owner or the listing agent that is listing the home that you want to see to schedule an appointment or find out when they're having an open house. That, I'm afraid, is going to be your responsibility, and there should be no fear at all in speaking with the listing agent. Step 4, if you found the house that you really like, make an offer. On our website, we have got offer letters that are not your standard offer letters, but since you're representing yourself, it is a way to present it to the seller as well as the listing agent as far as your intent in order to buy this home. Now, granted, the listing agent may have a formal offer form for you to complete, but at least they can take what is on your offer letter and present that to the seller. One thing you want to think about when you do present your offer letter is any contingencies, as well as property inspections and repairs that need to be made. Step 5 is the inspection. So after you have made that offer and the seller has accepted your offer, then you have to find a property inspector, and you're going to have to schedule that property inspector and be at the house when the property inspector shows up, and coordinate with the listing agent to have that property inspector come and inspect that property. It is going to be your responsibility. One other thing, after that property inspector has inspected the property, and if they found any problems, then you can negotiate having those repairs done, because that was part of your offer letter in the contingencies. Step 6, after you have the inspection done, then you need to get in touch with your mortgage broker. Actually, when you have sent out the inspector to inspect the home, you should then contact your mortgage broker and start the process on all of your paperwork. Another thing that you're going to have to do after you have contacted the property inspector, you have reached out to your mortgage person, you then will need to reach out to the escrow person or the escrow officer. And sometimes the sellers will already have an escrow officer. So, and the listing agent will have already sent that offer that has been accepted and signed. They may have already sent that to the escrow company, but you need to find out who that escrow company is, because they are holding all of your money. Step 7, closing the deal. After you have scheduled the property inspection and everything looks good, contact the mortgage person and they have you approved with a lender. You know what your payment is going to be, what the interest rate is going to be, how much your closing costs will be. Then it's time to close your deal. And this is where you're going to go to an escrow officer, or you might even have a mobile notary come to you and close the transaction. I know, because I was a mobile notary and that's what I did. So at the closing, this is where you will sign all of your paperwork and possibly even get the keys to your property. Now, if a mobile notary were to close your loan, you wouldn't necessarily have the keys and you would need to go and pick them up at an escrow office. But at the escrow officer should be able to let you know when your keys to your new home will be available. So after that, the home is yours. You get the keys, you move in, and life is beautiful. Congratulations. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 important questions that you need to ask when you go to an open house. And you need to ask these questions of either the seller or the listing agent. So let's get started. The first question you're going to ask is, how long has the property been on the market? What that's going to do is determine whether or not the house is overpriced, or if maybe there's something wrong with the house. But that's a really important question to ask. The second question that you're going to ask is, what are the comparables in the area? And comparables mean the same type of home in the same area that have the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms as the home that you're looking at. So you're going to ask that question because you want to know if this particular home that you're looking at is priced correctly. Now, if the listing agent or the seller doesn't know what the comparables are in the area, then I would suggest you ask this question, and don't be mean about it. Just ask the question, well, how did you come up with the price of the house if you didn't know what the comparables are in the area? You don't say that piece, but you just ask, how did you come up with the price of the house? So the next question you're going to ask is this home in a flood zone, or is it prone to any natural disasters? You already know why you need to ask that question. Well, maybe not. So flood insurance is required on homes that are in a flood zone, and typically it's pretty expensive. So you would have to figure all of that cost into your principal, your interest, your taxes, and insurance, and of course, if there's an HOA. So it's all a part of your monthly payment, so you need to ask that question. The next question you should ask is there an HOA? And an HOA is the Homeowners Association. You need to find out how much per month the HOA fee is going to be, because again, that's going to figure into your monthly cost when you're buying your home. Plus, it'll also help you determine whether or not you even want to buy this house in an HOA, because maybe too restrictive with the color of the house or how many weeds you can have in your home, or the cars you can have outside. So that is all something that an HOA will govern, and you need to find out about that information. The next question you need to ask is, why is the seller moving? And you can ask that. It is not a big mystery, and you can ask the listing agent or the seller themselves. That will determine if maybe there's any problems with the home, or maybe there's an issue with the neighborhood. Who knows? But you need to ask that question and definitely do your own research. The next question you need to ask is what comes with the property. Does the property come with the appliances? Is the washer and dryer included? So you need to ask what is all included in the property so that you can make a proper offer. That will also save you any money out of your pocket, just in case you might need to buy a washer and dryer or refrigerator or a new stove. So definitely a good question to ask. The next question is, how old is the roof? The roof is probably one of the most expensive things to have replaced. So you want to make sure that there is enough time on the roof to be able to live in the home and not have to replace it so quickly. The next question to ask is, how old is the HVAC and cooling system? And the HVAC is your heating system. So you want to know, has it been serviced? You want to know how old it is, because again, that's going to cut into your pocket, and you'll possibly have to buy or repair if you don't know how old it is. You also want to ask the question, is it efficient? Because that is going to determine your monthly cost of your utility bills, your heating, your cooling, if you have air conditioning. So you definitely want to find out if it is an efficient system. The next question to ask is there a seller's disclosure that you can look at? On that seller's disclosure, it is a form that a seller has to fill out when they're selling their home that tells you about the property itself. If there are any repairs, it should tell you how old the roof is. It goes through anything that they have repaired in a certain period of time. It is basically a snapshot, or based on what the seller knows about that particular home that they have been living in. So it's really important to be able to see that seller's disclosure and review it. So you either ask the seller or the listing agent for it. And the final question you want to ask is, are there any problems with the house? I know that you already had the seller's disclosure, but sometimes if you're talking to a seller or the listing agent, just asking a question will give you an idea of exactly what might be wrong with the house. You can always look at the seller's disclosure later, but just to ask them point blank, is there anything wrong with the house? You might get a very different answer than what you see on the seller's disclosure. A few other tips that you may want to think about as you're at the open house. And let's say you're at the open house, you've asked all the good questions, and you're really interested in the house, but you don't let the seller know or listing agent know that you're interested in the house. You be very neutral. After you have asked all the questions and you leave, there's some things that you may want to do just to see if this truly is the right house for you. I would recommend that you walk the neighborhood. Check out the other homes in the neighborhood, and if you see any neighbors outside, you might want to ask the question, how is the neighborhood? How is the seller? What's going on with the neighborhood? Just ask them various questions just to get a sense of what the neighborhood is like and how they enjoy living there. Also, you may want to ask a neighbor is how's the cell reception and the internet connection. Those things are so important, and sometimes the neighbor may have more information than the seller would. So asking the right questions at an open house is going to help you determine whether or not this home is going to be for you and whether or not you are going to even place an offer on this home. So if you found this video informational, then please let me know in the comments that you enjoyed it. Also, I'd like to know if there are any other videos you'd like for me to make with regards to buying your home on your own.